the silent stars above the forgotten kingdom. It is said that beneath the quiet sands of the desert, where the wind whispers only secrets it has long forgotten, there once stood a kingdom. A kingdom not built upon the earth but guided by the heavens. Its people were not merely survivors but seers, looking up to the celestial bodies above, believing they were not just stars but the voices of gods, the eternal guides of human destiny. The kingdom has long since crumbled to dust, but its story, hidden beneath the sands, still calls to those who listen closely enough. Beneath the silence of the desert, a soft question rises: what did the stars whisper to the ancient ones? The journey begins in the fading light of dusk, as the last traces of sunlight dance across the ruins of the forgotten city. The golden sand stretches endlessly, soft and untouched, wrapping the city in a veil of mystery. What remains of the kingdom lies scattered across the desert floor: broken columns, crumbled walls, and fragments of stone, their once sharp edges worn smooth by the relentless passage of time. The air is thick with the scent of ancient dust, and the wind moves with a quiet reverence, as if it too understands that something precious was lost here. The city, now nothing more than a ghost, was once a place where the stars above were not just a distant dream but a map, a guide to the mysteries of the universe. Here, the priests and astronomers of the kingdom stood beneath the heavens, their eyes fixed on the sky, their hearts attuned to its subtle rhythm. They charted the stars with a precision that modern minds can only dream of, inscribing their celestial knowledge into the very stones of the kingdom. As we wander through the ruins, the story of this sacred wisdom unfolds in whispers, soft as the breeze that brushes across the ruins. Some believe that the city was built in perfect alignment with the stars, its temples and monuments positioned to reflect the constellations, its streets laid out in patterns that mirrored the paths of celestial bodies. The city was, in a sense, an extension of the heavens, a place where the divine and earthly realms converged. The people believed the stars guided not only their seasons and harvests, but their very souls. In the heart of the city we find a broken temple. The walls, though cracked and worn, still bear faint traces of arcane symbols that once held the power to unlock the mysteries of the universe. They are etched into stone, their meaning now lost to the silence that fills the air. The temple's altar, once the focal point of sacred rituals, is now only a shadow of its former self, its surface worn smooth by time, as if it too had been touched by the divine. The stones themselves seem to breathe with the weight of forgotten knowledge, and beneath the silence, there is a subtle hum, a vibration in the air that speaks of things long buried. Some say the priests who once walked these halls could hear the stars whispering in the night, their voices soft as the breath of the wind, guiding their decisions, their very lives. Perhaps, in their wisdom, they understood something we could not. Something about the cyclical nature of time, the endless dance between the earth and the sky, the eternal rhythm of the cosmos. As we wander deeper into the city, the ruins reveal more fragments of this celestial knowledge. A stone tablet, half buried in the sand, bears an image of the heavens, the constellations drawn with such precision that it feels as though the stars themselves have left their mark. Faint lines on the tablet suggest that this was once part of a grand celestial chart, a map to the universe itself. The kingdom's people, it seems, understood the stars not just as distant points of light, but as living, breathing entities that shaped their lives and their fate. But as the city stands now, it is a place of silence and forgotten dreams. The once precise charts are now only faint outlines, the arcane symbols barely visible beneath layers of dust. What happened to this kingdom? Did the stars, which once guided their every step, abandon them? Or was there something darker at play, a secret buried beneath the sands, one that the kingdom's people could not, and perhaps were never meant to, understand? There is no answer here, only the echoes of what once was. The wind picks up, sending a swirl of sand into the air, and for a moment, it feels as though the city itself is exhaling, as if it remembers the time when it stood tall and proud, bathed in the light of 1,000 stars. The echoes of the past are soft, like a forgotten melody, carried away on the breeze. The ruins, though broken and weathered, still stand as a testament to a time when the heavens were as close as the earth beneath our feet. And as we stand in the shadow of the ruins, the question lingers in the air: what did the stars whisper to the ancient ones? Perhaps we will never know. Perhaps it is enough to listen to the silence of the stones and to the quiet whispers of the wind. For some mysteries, it seems, are meant to remain unsolved, buried beneath the sands, hidden in the folds of time. In the fading light of day, as the sun dips below the horizon, the stars begin to emerge, one by one, like the ancient guardians of the forgotten kingdom. They shine softly in the sky, distant and eternal, holding their secrets close. The ruins, now bathed in moonlight, seem to hum with the energy of the cosmos, their celestial knowledge forever lost to the sands. And in this silence, the kingdom's story comes to a soft, lingering close, as if the earth itself is holding its breath, waiting for someone to hear what is no longer spoken. Perhaps as the stars twinkle softly above, we are meant to listen, to feel the quiet presence of the ancient ones who once gazed up at the heavens, seeking the answers to questions that even now may be too vast for us to understand. And in the stillness of the night, as sleep slowly takes us, we are reminded that some truths are eternal, waiting only for the right moment to be whispered once again. Perhaps it was never meant to be found. Some truths, like the stars, remain hidden, waiting for those who are ready to listen. The moonlit temple of the fallen gods. Beneath the pale gaze of a distant moon, there stands a temple, forgotten by the world, hidden beneath the weight of centuries. Its stones, worn and weathered, cradle secrets long buried in the earth. The wind, as if guided by ancient hands, moves with a soft reverence, carrying the whispers of long-gone priests who once filled this sacred place with chants of devotion and fear. It is said that the gods once walked among these stones, their presence so powerful that the very air hummed with their divine breath. The temple now stands silent, as though time itself has paused in reverence. Beneath the moonlight, its crumbling altars gleam faintly, bathed in an ethereal glow, as though the moon herself has lent her light to reveal a forgotten world. The altar, once a place of sacrifice, lies worn and chipped, its surface rough with the marks of rituals performed by hands long turned to dust. What once may have been polished marble is now a pale shadow of its former self, scarred by the passage of time, yet still holding the weight of sacred memory. The silence here is thick, as though the very stones themselves are holding their breath. In the soft light of the moon, we are drawn into the quiet mystery of the place. The air feels heavy with unspoken truths, and the whispers of lost rituals stir in the shadows, carrying with them echoes of a civilization devoted to powers greater than they could ever truly comprehend. It is said that the gods who once inhabited this temple were fierce and mighty, their anger as devastating as their blessings. Some believe that the gods, in their wrath, withdrew from the world, leaving their people to wither beneath the weight of their silence. As we descend further into the temple's dark chambers, the walls seem to close in as though they are holding their own secrets. The chambers are thick with the dust of ages, and in the dim light of our lantern, shadows stretch and twist, taking on forms that seem to move just out of reach. The air smells faintly of incense, its scent faintly lingering in the stone, as though it is still caught in the breath of time. The ruins are decorated with symbols, now faded and broken, remnants of the gods' power still etched into the stone. A spiral staircase leads us down into the heart of the temple, where the air grows cooler and the shadows deeper. It is said that this was once the most sacred chamber, where the high priests communed with the gods, where they offered their prayers and their sacrifices in the hope of divine favor. Yet, in the absence of the gods, the chamber feels as if it has lost its purpose, a hollow echo of the grandeur that once filled it. The symbols that adorned the walls have now lost their meaning, crumbled and faded, as though the very knowledge of their creators has slipped away, leaving only the dust of what was. Somewhere in the distance, a faint sound stirs, the soft scrape of stone against stone. Perhaps it is the wind, or perhaps it is something else, something older. There is a sense that this place is alive in some way, that the echoes of those who once inhabited it still linger here, their voices carried by the wind, their footsteps forever imprinted on the stone. It is in these moments, in the quiet stillness of the temple, that the weight of its history presses down upon us. The gods, once revered and feared, now seem distant, like stars lost in the vastness of time. Did they abandon us, as some believe, or did they simply fade away, their power diminishing like a fading star, lost to the passage of millennia? As we walk through the dim corridors, the weight of the past presses upon our shoulders. Each step seems to echo louder than the last, reverberating through the hollow chambers. And yet, there is no answer to the question that lingers in the air, no answer to the mystery of the gods' disappearance. Perhaps, like the faint light of the moon, the truth is too distant, too veiled for us to fully comprehend. Perhaps, in their silence, the gods are simply waiting, waiting for us to listen, waiting for us to understand. The path grows darker still as we near the heart of the temple, where a final altar stands untouched by the winds of time. Here, the stone is polished, gleaming faintly in the dim light, and the symbols carved into it seem to pulse with an ancient energy, as though they are still alive, still watching. It is said that this altar was the last place of worship, where the final prayers were offered to the gods who had long ceased to answer. And yet, despite the emptiness that surrounds us, there is a presence here, something unseen, something older than time itself. We stand before the altar, caught between the past and the present, between the gods who once walked here and the silence that now reigns. The air is thick with the weight of history, the weight of unanswered questions. The altar seems to hum with a soft, otherworldly energy, and for a moment, it feels as though the gods are still here, their presence lingering in the air, watching, waiting. And as we turn to leave, the moonlight spills through the cracks in the stone, casting long shadows across the temple. The silence deepens, and the temple seems to settle into the earth, as if it has never been disturbed, as if time itself has paused here, suspended in a moment that will never fade. The question remains unanswered: did the gods abandon us, or were they lost in the passage of time? Some say that the gods are still here, hidden in the shadows, waiting for us to listen. Others believe that the gods have long since faded, their power lost to the winds of time. But as the moonlight fades and the temple returns to its slumber beneath the stars, we are left to wonder if some truths are simply too vast to be understood, and if the gods, in their silence, hold secrets that we may never hear. Perhaps it was never meant to be found. Perhaps the answer lies not in the temple itself, but in the quiet that remains, in the space between the stars, in the silence of the forgotten gods. Some mysteries, it seems, are destined to remain unsolved, waiting in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to be revealed. And as we drift into sleep, the whispers of the fallen gods may call to us from the depths of the temple, their voices soft as the wind, carrying the weight of a forgotten time, a time when the world was ruled not by kings, but by the silence of the gods. Some voices only echo when we are ready to listen. The forgotten library beneath the earth's breath. It is said that deep beneath the earth, where the sun's rays dare not touch and the air feels ancient, there lies a library, a sacred chamber where knowledge older than time rests in silence. The stories held here, whispered on the breath of the earth itself, wait patiently in the darkness, unclaimed and unseen for centuries. In forgotten corners of the world, where memory fades, this library calls to those who dare to listen. Its shelves, heavy with dust and time, cradle scrolls and books that once held the weight of divine wisdom and forgotten truths. The journey begins at the edge of an ancient stone entrance, half buried beneath the roots of towering trees. The air is cool and thick, holding the scent of earth, of parchment, of secrets long hidden. A single beam of pale light from above flickers as it cuts through the stillness of the cave, guiding us into the heart of the library. As we step into this sacred space, the world above slips away, and only the echoes of forgotten voices remain. What wisdom is buried in the depths? This question lingers unanswered as we take our first steps deeper into the cavernous halls. The shelves, old as time itself, stretch endlessly before us. They are filled with ancient scrolls, bound in leather so weathered, it seems as if they too have absorbed the very breath of the earth. Some are rolled tightly, their edges frayed from centuries of neglect. Others, more fragile still, lay open as though left in the haste of a time long past. Each scroll tells a story, each page holds a piece of the forgotten world. The silence here is thick, palpable, as if the very air holds its breath, waiting for the pages to be turned once more. The faintest sound of paper brushing against paper rises from the stillness, the movement of pages turning in the distance. There is a reverence in the act, a soft acknowledgement of the knowledge that once flowed through these halls. The scent of ancient parchment fills the air, mingling with the scent of earth and stone. Here, within these walls, the passage of time seems to slow, and the forgotten stories of the ancients call softly, like a distant melody just out of reach. As we explore the rows of shelves, we encounter relics of a time when these texts were treasured and read aloud in sacred ceremonies. These scrolls are more than just words. They are windows into the minds of civilizations that once looked to the stars for guidance, who understood the world in ways we can scarcely imagine. Their knowledge was not just about the physical realm, but about the very fabric of the universe, the hidden forces that shaped their lives and guided their paths. These scrolls speak of sacred rituals, divine wisdom, and lost technologies, stories of gods, kings, and empires now buried beneath the sands of time. One scroll, delicate and faded with age, is unfurled on a wooden table at the center of the chamber. The ink is faded, but the symbols still shine faintly, as if the words themselves hold an eternal glow. This scroll speaks of a time when the heavens were in perfect alignment, and the stars above guided the hearts of men. It is said that these people understood the language of the stars, each constellation holding a key to a greater mystery, a mystery that may never be unlocked. The scroll's words, though almost lost to the weight of centuries, still pulse with a quiet energy, a hum that vibrates through the very walls of the library. Each text we encounter is like a puzzle, a piece of a sacred whole, each one carrying the weight of a civilization's dreams and fears. But the deeper we go, the more we begin to understand the delicate balance between the sacred and the forbidden. For in the darkest corners of the library, hidden beneath layers of dust and forgotten memory, there are scrolls that speak of a time when the gods turned their faces away, when the balance of the stars was broken, and the knowledge of the ancients was lost to darkness. These scrolls are faded and torn, their words nearly illegible, as if the earth itself is trying to bury them forever. And yet, in the stillness of this place, beneath the quiet breath of the earth, we sense that these texts were never meant to be forgotten, that the knowledge contained within them still calls to us. Perhaps it is not meant for us to understand it all. Perhaps there is a wisdom so ancient, so profound, that it cannot be fully grasped by minds bound to the mortal realm. Some knowledge, it seems, is too vast to be revealed, and the very act of seeking it may be as sacred as the knowledge itself. As we stand among the shelves, a sense of reverence fills the air. The quiet rustle of the scrolls as we turn their pages is a sound almost too soft to hear. The stories contained within these pages feel like an invitation, a call to those willing to listen, to those willing to embrace the mysteries of a long-forgotten past. But as we move deeper into the heart of the library, the feeling grows stronger. Perhaps some things are not meant to surface. Perhaps some knowledge must remain hidden, buried beneath the earth's breath, where it cannot be disturbed, where it can rest undisturbed in its silence. The library, though alive with the rustle of pages and the whispers of the past, is an eternal stillness, a place of perfect peace. It is a place where time moves not in a straight line but in circles, where past and present intertwine, where the wisdom of the ages waits patiently to be rediscovered. And yet, we are left with the softest of questions, a question that lingers long after the last page has been turned. What was lost forever in this forgotten library? What truths lie buried beneath the silence, waiting for the right moment to be uncovered? As we leave the library, the air grows still again. The earth's breath slows, and the sound of turning pages fades into nothing. The books and scrolls, now return to their quiet resting places, wait as they always have for someone to hear their stories again. The deep, echoing silence of the chamber wraps around us, and the question remains suspended in the air. Perhaps it was never meant to be found. Perhaps the knowledge of the ancients was meant to rest forever in the quiet breath of the earth, its secrets left untouched by time. Some truths, it seems, are meant to remain buried, echoing softly in the wind, carried on the breath of the earth, until we are ready to listen. And as the quiet surrounds us, the whispers of forgotten wisdom may stir in the depths, waiting for the moment when we are ready to hear them. The veil of the forgotten kingdom of the desert. Beneath the endless sands of a desert that stretches far beyond the horizon, there lies a kingdom of unparalleled beauty and wisdom, veiled by the passing centuries. It is said that the winds of time have whispered its name only to those who dare to listen closely. In forgotten corners of the earth, where memory fades and the sun casts its eternal gaze, there lies the quiet breath of a kingdom long lost to the world. Its secrets are buried beneath the weight of the sand, hidden away from those who might seek to uncover them. The story begins softly, as if the desert itself is holding its breath. The wind stirs the golden grains of sand, carrying them across the ruins, shaping the landscape into something ever-changing yet eternal. It is here, in the heart of the desert, that we first glimpse the silhouette of a once great temple. The stone walls rise like silent sentinels, their surfaces worn and weathered, but still holding the echoes of a past filled with divine knowledge. The temple's form, half hidden by the swirling sands, beckons with a quiet mystery, its beauty preserved in the way the moonlight touches its ancient stones. In the stillness of the desert, the faint murmur of the wind is all that remains, a soft lullaby that carries the weight of centuries. Each grain of sand that shifts across the temple's surface seems to tell a story of a kingdom whose wisdom reached beyond the stars, whose knowledge of the earth and the heavens was unlike any the world has ever known. The kingdom that once stood here flourished under the watchful eyes of the celestial bodies. It is said that the people who called this kingdom home were not only skilled artisans and builders but also great seers, whose understanding of the world was in harmony with the stars above. The walls of their temples were adorned with intricate carvings that depicted the cycles of the heavens, their every ritual guided by the movements of the stars. The wisdom of this civilization was not written in the sands but carved into stone, its teachings whispered across the desert by the very breath of the earth. As we venture deeper into the ruins, the desert's quiet secrets begin to unfurl. The once vibrant streets, now only faint outlines in the shifting sands, tell the tale of a civilization that revered the earth beneath their feet and the stars above. In the distance, the faint sound of water once flowed through stone channels, nourishing the land, sustaining the lives of those who lived in this sacred kingdom. The architecture is majestic, grand archways that once stood tall above the land, now crumbled into the embrace of the sand. Broken statues of gods and goddesses stand guard over forgotten doors, their eyes hollow and silent, watching over a world long lost. As we explore further, the symbols of the kingdom reveal themselves in fragments, small pieces of a much larger puzzle, each one carrying the weight of forgotten wisdom. Carvings of celestial bodies adorn the walls, their lines flowing like rivers across the stone, guiding the people through the mysteries of the night sky. Sacred scrolls lie buried beneath the sand, their contents sealed away from the world, waiting for the day when they will be uncovered once more. Yet, the whispers of the past grow softer as the deeper we go into the heart of the kingdom, the more we begin to understand. The questions begin to rise, gentle as the breeze that stirs the sand. Was this kingdom lost by fate, or was it hidden to protect its sacred wisdom from the world? The temple's walls, though crumbled, still hold the echoes of ancient prayers. Faded frescoes depict the kingdom's rulers, their faces solemn and wise, looking toward the heavens for guidance. Stars shine brightly in the sky, their alignment forming a map that guided the actions of the people below. The knowledge of the stars was not merely academic, it was spiritual, a deep connection to the divine. It is said that the people of this kingdom believed that the stars were not distant and cold, but alive, their movements marking the passage of time, guiding the seasons and shaping the destiny of the kingdom. Yet the temple is empty now. There are no voices, no footsteps echoing through the corridors. The silence is profound, as though the very earth itself holds its breath. The question lingers unanswered: was this wisdom lost or was it hidden? Perhaps it was the very nature of the wisdom itself that led to its concealment. Perhaps the knowledge this kingdom possessed was so profound, so sacred, that it was meant to remain veiled, hidden away from the world. Some believe that the rulers of this kingdom understood that the wisdom they held was not for all eyes, that it was too vast to be shared. They may have chosen to bury their knowledge beneath the sands, to protect it from those who would misuse it, or perhaps to preserve it from the passage of time. In the deepest chambers of the temple, we discover the remnants of a sacred text, half buried in dust. The ink is faded and the paper brittle with age, but the symbols are still clear. A celestial map intricately drawn showing the alignment of the stars as they once were. It is said that the stars were not merely objects to be studied but were thought to hold the key to divine power, guiding the rulers of this kingdom in their every decision. The very act of reading these texts was said to bring one closer to the gods, to unlock the mysteries of the universe itself. As we hold the fragile scroll in our hands, we feel the weight of the knowledge it holds, yet the meaning slips through our fingers like grains of sand. Perhaps some truths are meant to remain buried, lost to the sands of time. Perhaps the stars themselves knew that the world was not ready for this wisdom, that it was a gift too powerful to be shared. The desert, in its infinite stillness, continues to guard the secrets of the forgotten kingdom. The wind picks up once more, swirling the sands across the ruins, as though erasing all trace of the civilization that once stood here. The silence deepens and we are left to wonder, was this kingdom lost by fate, or did it choose to disappear to leave only whispers in the wind? As the moon rises higher in the sky, casting its pale light across the desert, we are reminded that some mysteries are too vast to be understood, too sacred to be unearthed. The question of why this kingdom vanished may never be answered. The stars above remain silent, watching over the desert, their ancient light casting its glow on the forgotten temple. Perhaps, like the temple itself, some answers are meant to remain veiled, to be carried away on the desert winds, never to be fully uncovered. The stars continue to shine brightly in the sky, and beneath them the desert sleeps, its secrets held in silence, waiting for those who are ready to listen. And as we drift away from the temple, the sands once more reclaim the kingdom. The wind carries away our footsteps, and the silence deepens as the moon watches from above. Perhaps the truth was never meant to be found. Some wisdom, after all, is not for the world, but for those who can hear it in the stillness of the earth beneath the veil of time. The map that led into shadow. In the quiet depths of an ancient library, long untouched by human hands, a map is discovered, its edges worn and its surface faded by the passage of countless years. The dim light from a solitary lamp flickers as the map is unrolled, revealing intricate lines and symbols, delicate as whispers, drawn in ink that has nearly disappeared into the fabric of time. There, beneath the weight of dust and forgotten history, lies the first question. What lies beyond the known? The map, though crinkled and delicate, carries the promise of something beyond the world as we understand it. It is not just a guide to distant lands, but a pathway into something deeper, something more mysterious. For this map does not lead to kingdoms of the earth or cities of men. Instead, it beckons toward a place where the known laws of nature fall away, a place where the very fabric of existence seems to blur and fade. It is a map to the edge of the world, where even the stars themselves may lose their way. As the ancient paper unfurls, the faint traces of the lines that once guided the way begin to shimmer, as if the map itself breathes in the dim light. The journey begins here, in the shadowed corners of this forgotten place, where time has forgotten to pass. Here in the stillness we see the first sign, a single faint path etched upon the paper, leading toward the uncharted lands where shadows stretch long into the unknown. It is said that this map once belonged to a civilization far older than most, one whose understanding of the world reached beyond the realms of the senses. These people, ancient and wise, were guided by forces that we no longer understand. Their journey was not one of conquest or discovery, but of something more profound, an exploration into the very nature of existence itself. They sought the boundaries of the earth, not to expand their dominion, but to understand the space beyond, the unseen realms that lay beyond human comprehension. As we trace the path on the map, we find ourselves stepping into the very footsteps of these lost wanderers, walking with them through this sacred and mystical landscape. The journey, however, is not one that is easy to follow. Each step brings us deeper into shadow, where the air thickens and the world around us seems to lose its shape. The familiar is left behind, and in its place, we are left with something that cannot be fully grasped, a quiet, lingering sense of the unknown. The whispers of the map speak of a place where the known laws of nature cease to exist. A place where the earth itself seems to bend and twist, where the stars no longer trace their predictable paths across the sky. Some believe that the path this map reveals leads to a world where time itself falters, where the eternal dance of night and day is suspended in silence. Others believe that the journey leads not to a place at all, but to an experience, a meeting with something ancient, something unknowable. As we follow the path etched into the paper, the map slowly transforms before our eyes. It is no longer a mere set of directions. It becomes a living thing, an invitation to step beyond the veil of what is known. The lines shift and change, flowing like rivers of light, each curve guiding us deeper into a world that feels both familiar and strange. The shadows grow longer as the map unfurls, as though they are watching, waiting for us to reach the end of our journey. With each step, the air grows heavier, thicker with the weight of unspoken truths. The sound of our footsteps seems to echo strangely, as if the world itself holds its breath, waiting for us to find what lies at the end of this path. The whispers in the air grow softer, as though the very stones themselves are speaking, telling stories of a civilization that sought something beyond their own understanding, beyond the world they knew. And then, at the edge of the map, we reach the final point, the place where the path vanishes into shadow. Here the map ends, and yet the journey continues. Whispers tell us that this was the last place the travelers of this civilization ventured, the place where they disappeared without a trace, their wisdom lost to time. Some believe that they reached the end of the world, where the lines between life and death blurred, where the veil between worlds was lifted, and they were drawn into the mystery of the unknown. Others, though, say that this was not the end at all, but rather the beginning of something else. Perhaps the travelers were never meant to return. Perhaps the world they sought was not a physical place, but a spiritual destination, a place where the boundaries between the material and the ethereal dissolve. Here, in the shadow of the unknown, the answers they sought may have been found, but perhaps never to be shared with the world. The quiet becomes deafening, as though the final truth lies hidden in the space between breaths, waiting for the right moment to be understood. The air now feels still, as though suspended in time, as though the path has led us to a place where time no longer holds sway. Where memory fades, we stand at the threshold of something ancient, something unknowable. The map is now but a faint memory itself, its lines and symbols fading away as the wind gently stirs the pages, carrying them away into the ether. Perhaps it was never meant to be found. Perhaps this map was not for us at all, but for the ones who walked this path before, the ones who have long since passed into shadow. And as we stand on the edge of this mystery, with the map now lost to time and the winds, we are left with a quiet question that lingers in the air. Was the journey one of knowledge or eternal loss? The answer remains hidden, locked away in the folds of shadow, carried on the wind that dances through the ruins. The journey has led us to this place, where the known and the unknown meet, where the map has vanished, and yet the journey continues, through memory, through shadow, through silence. As we let go of the map, we listen. The wind, now gentle and calm, carries the echoes of ancient voices, whispers from a time long past. Perhaps those who followed this map found what they sought. Perhaps, in their search for the unknown, they discovered something that cannot be spoken, something too vast for our understanding. The truth may never surface, but the journey itself, the quiet, sacred journey, remains. Some voices only echo when we are ready to listen. The echoes of a city lost in time. It is said that beneath the layers of earth, where the passage of time has silenced all but the whispers of the wind, there once stood a city. A city full of life, of laughter, of voices that spoke to one another across the streets, across the stars. But now the silence is deep. The city, once vibrant and alive, is now nothing but a shadow in the dust. Beneath the silence, where memory fades, the question lingers: what happened to the voices of this city? The journey begins here, at the edge of what was once a thriving metropolis. The ground is still, the air heavy with the scent of ancient earth and crumbled stone. We stand at the threshold of time itself, where the remnants of the past stretch out before us, inviting us into their mystery. The city lies hidden beneath the earth's breath, like a secret waiting to be discovered, its streets still faintly outlined beneath the blanket of dust and sand. The silence here is profound, so deep it feels as though the world itself is holding its breath, waiting for us to listen. As we step into the ruins, we find that the streets are empty. No footsteps echo in the silence. No voices call out to us. Only the soft murmur of the wind moves through the broken walls, weaving its way between the ruins, carrying with it the faintest hint of what once was. The buildings, now crumbling and half-buried, still hold a faint trace of their former grandeur. The stone walls are weathered, but faint carvings and symbols still mark them, symbols of a time when the city was full of life, full of breath. In the heart of the city, a great temple once stood, its spires reaching up toward the heavens. Now, only the crumbled foundation remains, half hidden beneath the weight of the earth. Yet, even in its decay, there is something sacred about this place. The ruins are not just the remnants of stone and mortar. They are the echoes of a people who understood the heavens above, whose beliefs were entwined with the movement of the stars. The city's inhabitants once lived in harmony with the cosmos, their every action guided by the rhythm of the universe. Some say they could read the stars as we read books, each constellation a chapter in a story written in the sky. As we walk deeper into the ruins, we uncover fragments of their beliefs. In the corner of a forgotten courtyard, a stone altar lies half buried in the sand. On its surface, there are traces of long-erased offerings, small fragments of precious stones, faded remnants of what may have been sacred rituals. Perhaps they were offerings to the stars, to the gods who dwelled in the heavens. Scrolls, now fragile and dust-covered, rest on broken shelves, their contents unknown but their presence heavy with the weight of lost knowledge. The silence here is thick, as if the very air holds the stories of the past, waiting for someone to listen. The deeper we go into the heart of the city, the more the mysteries unfold. Faint carvings on the walls depict scenes of daily life, people dressed in garments that seem to shimmer like the stars themselves, walking along paths that seem to align with the constellations. Whispers tell us that this was a city built not just on earth, but on the stars. Its architecture, its streets, its rituals all designed to align with the cosmic order. The city's inhabitants believed that their lives were woven into the very fabric of the universe, and they looked to the stars not as distant points of light, but as guides, as companions. Yet, as we wander through these ruins, there is no sound but the whispering wind. The voices of the city's people are gone, swallowed by the sands of time. What happened to them? Some believe that the city's inhabitants reached too high, seeking knowledge and power that was not meant for mortals. They turned their gaze toward the stars, believing they could harness the very forces that govern the heavens. And in their pursuit, they disappeared, either consumed by their own ambitions or lost to the mysteries of the universe they sought to understand. But what if the city was not abandoned? What if it was hidden, protected perhaps by the very gods the people once worshipped? Beneath the silence, there are hints that this city was not forgotten by fate, but concealed for a reason. Its knowledge, its wisdom, too vast for the world to comprehend, may have been sealed away, waiting for the right moment for someone ready to listen. Some voices only echo when we are ready to listen. As we stand at the heart of the city, gazing out at the crumbled ruins, the wind stills for a moment and the quiet deepens. It is said that if you listen closely enough, you can still hear the whispers of the city's past, carried on the wind. Perhaps the city was never truly lost. Perhaps, like the stars above, it simply waits, waiting for someone to hear its story once more. In the stillness, there is a soft reminder that some truths are not meant to be discovered all at once, that they are held in the silence, just beyond the reach of our understanding. As we leave the ruins, the desert stretches out before us, vast and eternal. The city lies behind us, hidden beneath the sands, its secrets safe for now. But the question remains, was this city lost by fate, or was it hidden to protect its sacred wisdom from the world? Perhaps, like the stars, some cities are meant to be remembered only in fragments, their stories told in whispers, carried on the winds of time. In the fading light of the day, as the sun dips below the horizon, the city's silhouette begins to fade, blending with the sand. The last remnants of the city are swallowed by the earth, and all that remains is the quiet hum of the wind, the echo of a forgotten time. Where memory fades, only the silence remains, waiting for those who are ready to listen. And perhaps, when the world is still and the stars rise high above us once more, we will hear the voices of this lost city again. Perhaps it was never meant to be found. Perhaps it was always meant to wait, hidden beneath the earth, waiting for the right moment to return. Some stories are not meant to end. They simply fade into the silence, to be discovered when the world is ready to listen once more. The sacred chamber of the sky gods. Beneath the towering peaks of forgotten mountains, where the air is thin and the winds whisper of ancient secrets, there lies a temple, secluded and veiled by time itself. This place, hidden from the eyes of the world, is touched only by the soft breath of the earth and the eternal stars above. It is said that those who venture too close to these sacred heights are met with silence, a silence that draws one inward, toward the very heart of the mountain. In this temple, at the very heart of its crumbling stone walls, there exists a sacred chamber, untouched by the hands of men for eons. Its entrance, concealed by time, lies hidden beneath layers of earth and forgotten stones. It is as if the mountain itself has kept this place locked away, guarding its ancient mystery with reverence and care. Some believe that the very air in this temple holds an energy, a hum, that resonates with the divine. It calls to those who are open enough to hear, offering a glimpse of something sacred, something ancient, something beyond the reach of mortal understanding. The journey begins as we stand at the edge of the temple's entrance. The walls surrounding us are worn by centuries of wind, rain, and the quiet passage of time. But beneath the age, beneath the cracks and the dust, there is a palpable stillness, a presence that fills the air with quiet expectation. The stone beneath our feet seems to hold the weight of forgotten knowledge, waiting to be uncovered. It is said that many have entered this temple before us, but few have made it to the sacred chamber, for the way is not easily found, and the temple itself seems to shift, to change as if it too is part of the mystery. As we step inside, we are greeted by an overwhelming sense of awe. The chamber is vast, its ceiling lost in shadow, its walls stretching upwards like the wings of some ancient bird. The light from the outside world is soft here, filtered through cracks in the stone, casting a glow that seems to belong to another time, another realm. The room hums with an energy, a vibration that fills the space, but it is not a sound we can hear. Rather, it is felt in the deep, quiet places of the soul. On the walls of the chamber, etched into the stone, are star maps, intricately carved, their lines still faintly visible despite the centuries of neglect. The stars, once guiding lights to those who walk this path, now remain in stillness, watching over the chamber, watching over the ages. The constellations themselves seem to breathe in the silence, their patterns both familiar and strange, as though they are not just shapes in the sky, but ancient symbols carrying the weight of forgotten knowledge. Somewhere in the far corner of the room, hidden beneath layers of dust, we find carvings of gods, divine figures whose faces are serene and watchful, their eyes turned upward toward the heavens. These gods, it seems, once gazed upon the stars, their very beings intertwined with the celestial bodies. The carvings speak not of earthly matters, but of the divine realm, of cosmic forces, of a sacred balance that governed the universe. The figures are almost lifelike, their forms so beautifully wrought that they seem to pulse with a quiet, ancient energy. Their hands are outstretched, as if offering something or perhaps receiving it from the heavens. The air around them feels thick with reverence, as if the very stones are holding their breath, waiting for the secrets of the gods to be revealed. As we explore further, the chamber seems to deepen, its mysteries unfolding like a scroll of parchment, delicate and fragile. The walls pulse with energy, the symbols etched into them not just images, but conduits to something greater. Some believe these markings were not just for decoration but for guidance. Paths to enlightenment, pathways that could lead to understanding the stars themselves. The gods who once watched over this place may have been guardians of knowledge, keepers of cosmic wisdom that only the initiated could understand. But as we stand in the center of the room, the full weight of the chamber's mystery begins to press upon us. There is no clear purpose here, no clear answer to the question that lingers in the air. What was the purpose of this sacred space? The chamber seems to exist not to be understood, but to be experienced, to be felt in the deep, quiet spaces of the heart. The gods, the stars, the stone, they are all here, but they are not here for us to conquer or to claim. They are here to remind us that some truths are too vast for human understanding, that some knowledge is too sacred to be known. The air grows stiller still, and the hum that once vibrated through the room begins to soften. The silence deepens, filling the space with the weight of a truth that cannot be spoken. It is said that some chambers are meant to remain locked, their mysteries too profound, too sacred for mortal minds to grasp. And perhaps this sacred chamber, hidden away from the world for so long, is one of those places. Its purpose is not to offer answers, but to offer a moment of communion with something greater than ourselves, a fleeting touch of the divine. As we turn to leave, the silence seems to follow us, like a veil that wraps around us, carrying the weight of the chamber's ancient energy. The stars above, though far and distant, seem to watch us, their gaze steady and eternal. The gods, though silent, remain with us, their presence lingering in the air, a reminder of the cosmic forces that shape our lives, whether we understand them or not. Perhaps some mysteries, like the sacred chamber itself, are meant to remain veiled. Some knowledge, it seems, is not for us to understand, not because it is beyond our reach, but because it is too precious, too holy to be known. The gods did not build this chamber for us to uncover all its secrets, but for us to feel the awe, the wonder, the reverence that it inspires. And as we leave the mountain temple behind, the stillness of the world outside seems to settle into our bones. The question, unanswered, lingers in the space between the stars. What was the purpose of this sacred space? Perhaps the answer is not to be found in words, but in the silence, in the feeling that lingers long after the experience has passed. Perhaps some chambers are meant to remain locked, their mysteries too sacred for human understanding, and perhaps, in their silence, they speak to us of something deeper, something beyond the realm of knowledge, something that can only be felt and never fully known. Some voices only echo when we are ready to listen. The forgotten sky map of the lost tribe. Beneath the shadow of towering mountains, where the earth hums with ancient whispers, a forgotten temple lies buried under the weight of time and the passage of seasons. The sands of the desert have long since reclaimed it, and the winds of the world have swept over its crumbled stones. Yet deep within its silent chambers, beneath the veil of dust, something has remained, something lost, something waiting to be discovered. It is said that in the heart of this sacred temple, hidden among the ruins, an ancient sky map was found, crafted by the hands of a lost tribe. A map that once glowed with the wisdom of the heavens, now faded and fragile with age. As we stand before it, unrolled in the stillness, we are confronted with the question that has echoed across the ages. What did the stars reveal to them? The sky map, now a delicate tapestry of lines and symbols, carries the weight of a civilization whose knowledge of the stars transcended what we can understand. Its once vibrant colors have softened with time, the ink worn by the touch of hands that have long since turned to dust. But even in its faded state, the map still hums with an energy, an ancient truth that speaks softly beneath the silence. Some believe that this map was more than a mere guide, it was a sacred document, a portal to the cosmos, a means by which the lost tribe navigated the heavens themselves. As we trace the lines of the map, our fingers gently brushing the faded symbols, we begin to see it not as a map of mere lands or territories, but as a cosmic chart, a celestial guide. The constellations, though obscured, seem to pulse with a hidden life, and we feel the presence of something ancient stirring in the air. Whispers tell us that this tribe, long forgotten by time, once held a knowledge of the stars that would astonish the minds of the world today. They were not mere stargazers. They were interpreters of the heavens, able to read the stars as we read books. Each line etched onto the map tells a story, each symbol a chapter of the cosmos itself. As we study it, a realization begins to dawn. This tribe may have known the very fate of the stars themselves. Their map is not just a depiction of the night sky, it is a sacred record, a spiritual diary that charts the movements of the heavens with an intimacy that speaks of a deep and ancient connection. The stars were not distant points of light to them. They were living, breathing entities full of meaning and power. As we trace the path of constellations, a soft hum fills the air, the silence thick with the weight of the map's secrets. It is said that the tribe's priests who guarded this knowledge could speak the language of the stars, an ancient dialect that allowed them to communicate with the heavens themselves. Their rituals were not merely prayers, but a form of communion, a conversation with the celestial bodies. They believed the stars guided them not just in terms of seasons or harvests, but in the most sacred and profound ways, guiding their hearts, their souls, and their destinies. But as we trace the path of the stars, we begin to notice something unsettling, something buried deep in the patterns of the map. Beneath the surface of the celestial wisdom lies an ominous undertone, a hint of something hidden, something dark. The further we delve into the map, the more we begin to understand that the stars this tribe followed, the stars they revered, may have had a different fate than they had imagined. There are symbols etched into the map that speak not of guidance or harmony, but of destruction and cosmic upheaval. The stars, it seems, were not only their guides but their undoing. Some believe that the tribe's obsession with the heavens led them to an understanding too profound, too dangerous for the mortal world. The map, though beautiful in its design, carries the burden of a knowledge that was never meant to be known. Did the tribe foresee their own end, their own fall written in the movements of the stars? Was the map a warning, a guide not to salvation but to doom? As we continue to study the map, the weight of its knowledge begins to settle into our bones. The path the tribe followed, once so clear and defined, now seems to spiral into shadow. The bright stars, once their guiding lights, now fade into darkness, swallowed by the depths of the unknown. We are left with the quiet thought that this knowledge, this sacred wisdom, was perhaps not a gift but a curse, a truth too vast to be understood, too dangerous to be shared. In the quiet of the temple, surrounded by the dust and silence of centuries, we are left to ponder the fate of the lost tribe. Did they see the fate of the stars before it unfolded? Did they know the heavens themselves would turn against them, as the darkness of the universe swallowed their once bright light? The map, now faded and fragile, offers no answers, only questions. What happened to the voices of this tribe? Were they lost to the cosmic forces they sought to understand? Or did they choose silence, choosing to leave their knowledge buried, hidden from a world that was not ready to know? As the silence deepens, we find that some secrets are never meant to be uncovered. The map we hold in our hands is not a key to knowledge, but a reminder of the vastness of the universe, of the mysteries that lie beyond our understanding. Some knowledge, it seems, was meant to remain veiled, to stay hidden beneath the earth, carried only in the whispers of time. Perhaps the lost tribe's story was not one of discovery but of surrender. Surrender to the stars, surrender to the unknown. And as we lay the map back upon its resting place, the silence of the temple seems to wrap itself around us, as though it is waiting for the map to speak once more, or perhaps waiting for someone else to listen. In the stillness, we hear the faintest echo of a distant star, whispering its secrets to the wind. Perhaps the knowledge of the stars was never meant to be shared. Perhaps it was never meant to be found. Some voices only echo when we are ready to listen. The whispering stones of the desert temple. In the heart of a vast desert, where the sun beats down upon the earth like the pulse of the ancient world, there stands an ancient temple. It is veiled by the sands, hidden from the eyes of those who wander the earth, but it is not forgotten. The stone walls, weathered and worn by time, hold the weight of secrets, secrets buried deep within their cracks and crevices. As the wind sweeps across the barren expanse, it carries with it a whisper, a sound as old as the earth itself. It is said that if you listen carefully, if you listen long enough, the stones will speak, revealing the mysteries of a civilization lost to the ages. The journey begins at the threshold of the temple, its entrance framed by columns that rise like the bones of an ancient creature, now softened by time and weather. Some believe that the temple was built to honor the gods, to mark the boundaries between the earthly realm and the heavens above. Others say it was a place of knowledge, a sacred repository of wisdom passed down through the ages, hidden from those not worthy to understand it. As the sun sets in the distance, casting long shadows across the sands, we step into the cool shade of the temple, where the air is thick with silence, and the whispers of the past seem to fill every corner. The temple's walls are adorned with carvings, intricate and enigmatic, their meanings lost to the centuries. As the light fades, the carvings seem to shift and change, their outlines softening, revealing hidden symbols that seem to pulse with life. Whispers tell us that these carvings were not merely decorations, but a language, a sacred script that told the story of the people who once worshipped here, their beliefs and knowledge woven into the very stones. The more we look, the more we begin to see the images come alive before our eyes. Gods with eyes that seem to follow our every movement, spirals that twist into the heavens, and celestial symbols that appear to dance across the walls like the stars themselves. As we explore the temple's vast interior, we are drawn deeper into its sacred heart, where the air grows heavier with the weight of forgotten truths. Beneath the silence of the stone walls, we feel a presence, an ancient energy that seems to hum with the resonance of the past. The carvings, once mere shapes in the stone, now seem to come alive, shifting in the dimming light. The story of a long-lost civilization begins to unfold before us, like the gentle turning of a scroll, revealing glimpses of a time when the people of this temple lived in harmony with the stars. Their wisdom, it seems, was not only grounded in the earth, but also in the cosmos. The carvings on the walls speak of the stars, of celestial bodies and their movements, their patterns woven into the very fabric of the world. The people who once inhabited this temple were seers, watchers of the skies, their knowledge of the heavens far beyond their time. Some believe that they understood the very rhythm of the universe, able to read the movements of the stars and planets as one reads the pages of a sacred book. As the last light of the sun touches the temple, the carvings on the walls seem to shift once more, revealing more than what was seen before. The stones seem to breathe with the weight of this lost knowledge. It is said that the people of this temple believed the gods themselves resided in the stars, and that by understanding the movements of the celestial bodies, they could tap into the divine. The wisdom they sought was not just earthly wisdom, but the knowledge of the universe, the secrets of creation itself. Yet, as the shadows lengthen and the wind picks up, there is a sense of unease. The more we explore, the more we begin to realize that this knowledge, though powerful, may have come at a great cost. The air around us thickens as if the very stones of the temple are holding something back, something too sacred, too profound to be fully understood. The carvings, though beautiful, seem to carry a weight, a heaviness that speaks not just of wisdom but of something lost, something forgotten. Somewhere in the deepest recesses of the temple, beneath the weight of centuries, we find a final carving, one that is almost completely obscured by the shifting sands. This carving is different from the others. It is not a celebration of knowledge, but a warning. The figure depicted on the wall appears to be reaching toward the heavens, but its face is twisted in a silent scream, its hands grasping at the stars as if trying to hold them in place. The stars above it seem to be slipping away, their light fading as though they are leaving the world behind. Whispers tell us that this was the final message of the temple's people, a warning of the dangers of seeking too much knowledge, of reaching too far into the unknown. Had the people of this temple learned too much? Had their pursuit of the divine turned them toward something darker, something they were not meant to understand? As we stand before this final carving, the wind picks up, stirring the dust and sand around us. The whispers seem to fade, as if the temple itself is retreating into silence, hiding its secrets once more. The stone walls grow still, and the weight of the lost knowledge presses down on us, a quiet reminder that some truths are too vast, too unknowable for human minds. The stars above, once so clear and bright, now seem distant and cold, their light fading as the moon rises in the sky. As we leave the temple, the shadows of the ruins stretch long behind us, and the wind begins to carry the whispers of the past once more. The questions remain unanswered, suspended in the night air. What secrets are hidden in these stones? Perhaps it was never meant to be found. Perhaps the wisdom held here, the knowledge of the stars and the gods, was not for the world. Perhaps it was meant to remain buried, locked away beneath the weight of time, its mysteries too sacred to be understood. The desert stretches out before us, vast and empty, the temple now nothing more than a distant memory. And as the moonlight washes over the ruins, we are left with the quiet sense that the temple's secrets, though revealed, may never be fully understood. Some mysteries are not meant to be solved, but to be felt in the quiet spaces between the wind and the stars. Some voices only echo when we are ready to listen. The celestial path of the lost kingdom. In the heart of an ancient land, where the earth meets the sky in a seamless dance, there once stood a kingdom, its walls, its streets, and its temples all bound by a sacred thread, woven into the fabric of the heavens themselves. Beneath the vast expanse of stars, this kingdom flourished, its people living in harmony with the cosmic rhythms that govern the universe. It is said that the very foundation of this kingdom was built upon the alignment of the stars, that every stone, every pillar, every sacred path was laid in such a way that it echoed the divine order of the cosmos. The journey begins at the edge of this forgotten realm, where the horizon stretches out before us, kissed by the soft glow of a rising moon. The path we walk is not merely a road of stone, it is the beginning of a journey into the heart of something much older, something more profound. As we take our first steps along this sacred path, the question lingers in the air, like a soft whisper. Why was this kingdom so attuned to the heavens? What was it about the stars that so deeply connected these people, that inspired them to build their lives in direct correspondence with the movements of celestial bodies? The path stretches before us, winding through the ruins of the ancient kingdom. The stones beneath our feet are weathered, worn by the passage of time, but their alignment remains precise, unwavering. It is said that the people of this kingdom could read the stars as we read the pages of a book, each constellation a chapter in the grand story of the universe. As we walk, we begin to notice how each structure, from the towering pillars to the smallest stones, seems to face a particular point in the sky, as though they were all pointing toward a deeper, hidden truth. The very design of the kingdom reflects the order of the cosmos, a grand, sacred alignment that ties the earth to the heavens, the mortal realm to the divine. As the sun begins its slow descent beneath the horizon, the true beauty of the kingdom begins to reveal itself. The temples, though crumbled, still stand tall, their columns reaching upward as if to touch the stars themselves. Faint carvings of celestial bodies and divine symbols adorn the walls, each one telling a story of the stars, of gods who once looked down upon this kingdom, guiding the people's every action. The whispers of the past echo through the ruins, as though the stones themselves are speaking to us, urging us to see what was once so clear to those who walked these sacred streets. We find ourselves at the base of a great altar, its stone surface smooth and ancient, worn by the hands of those who once prayed here. The altar's alignment is perfect, its center positioned exactly beneath the line of stars that marks the heaven's path. Some believe that the altar was not just a place of worship, but a cosmic instrument, a tool designed to connect the earthly realm to the divine. It is said that the priests of this kingdom, with their deep understanding of the stars, would perform sacred rituals here, offerings made not to the gods alone, but to the very forces that govern the universe itself. Their ceremonies were not just acts of devotion, they were a way of speaking to the cosmos, of aligning themselves with the divine flow of time and space. As we continue along the path, the sense of reverence deepens. The ruins of the kingdom become more than just remnants of a lost civilization. They become a bridge to a time when the people here understood something profound about the universe. They saw the stars not as distant lights in the sky, but as living, breathing entities, gods in their own right, shaping the lives of those below. The people of this kingdom were not just passive observers of the heavens. They were participants in the great cosmic dance, their lives intricately woven into the celestial order. As the twilight deepens, the air grows heavy with the weight of these forgotten truths. The ruins glow faintly in the fading light, casting long shadows across the path. We begin to understand that the kingdom was not lost by chance. It was lost because its connection to the stars was too profound, too sacred for the world to comprehend. The path we walk is not just a road through an ancient city. It is a journey into the heart of a mystery that lies beyond time. The kingdom, with its sacred alignment to the heavens, may have been hidden away by those who once lived here, concealed from the world to preserve its secrets. Beneath the silence of the desert, beneath the weight of the earth, the kingdom waits, its truths preserved in the stars, waiting for the right moment to be revealed again. The final steps of the path lead us to the edge of a great observatory, its roof long since fallen away, leaving only the open sky above. Here, beneath the heavens, the people of the kingdom would have gazed upward, their eyes tracing the patterns of the stars, their hearts in tune with the divine rhythm of the universe. The whispers of their voices still seem to linger in the air, carried on the wind, their prayers still rising toward the stars. As we stand in the quiet of the observatory, we are reminded of the mystery of this lost kingdom. The people who once lived here saw the world differently. They saw the divine in the stars, in the very fabric of the universe itself. Their kingdom was not just a place of stone and mortar. It was a manifestation of their understanding of the cosmos, a sacred space where the earthly and the divine converged. Perhaps it was never meant to be found. Perhaps the kingdom's knowledge was not meant for the world to know. Its connection to the stars was too deep, too sacred for the fleeting world of men. Perhaps the path we walk is not one of discovery but of remembrance, a journey not to uncover lost knowledge, but to understand that some mysteries are meant to remain hidden, preserved beneath the veil of time, waiting to be uncovered only when the world is ready to listen once more. As we leave the sacred path behind, the stars above grow brighter, their light filling the sky with quiet wonder. The kingdom may be lost, but its echo remains, carried in the wind, whispered in the patterns of the stars. Some voices only echo when we are ready to listen. And perhaps, in the stillness of the night, when we look to the heavens, we may hear the silent song of a lost kingdom, still singing softly in the darkness. The lost voice of the sacred priestess. In the forgotten corners of the earth, where time has gently worn the landscape like a river carving its way through stone, there stands a temple not marked on any map, not spoken of in any legend. Yet, there it is, hidden beneath the soft embrace of ancient dust and forgotten sands, its presence known only to the wind and the stars above. The temple's entrance, flanked by crumbling pillars, beckons with a quiet reverence. It is said that inside, a statue of a priestess stands, her stone features worn by centuries, her gaze directed toward the heavens. Her expression is both serene and solemn, as though she holds secrets too sacred to share, too profound to be understood. As we step through the weathered archway, the air shifts, cooler, heavier with silence. The temple feels as if it exists outside of time, its chambers untouched by the hustle of the world, preserved in the stillness of the ages. Whispers tell us that this was once a place of divine purpose, a space where the celestial and the earthly realms converged. The question arises as we pause in the shadow of the priestess's stone form. What did she know that has been lost? The question hangs in the air like a breath, unspoken but deeply felt. The priestess, now nothing more than a figure of stone, was once more than a mere mortal. She was a keeper of wisdom, a guide for the people of this ancient land, entrusted with the knowledge of the stars, the cycles of the heavens, and the very rhythms of the earth. Some believe that her voice, once strong and clear, resonated through the temple, speaking of cosmic alignments, of the sacred dances of the celestial bodies, and of the divine laws that govern the universe. But now, in the quiet darkness of the temple's chambers, her voice is gone, swallowed by time, hidden in the folds of silence. We move deeper into the temple, the walls of the sacred space adorned with faded carvings and worn frescoes that seem to pulse with a distant light. Each figure, each symbol tells a part of the story, a story of a civilization that once revered the stars as gods themselves. The people, it seems, lived not by the clock or the calendar, but by the movements of the heavens, guided by the celestial priestess who stood at the heart of their spiritual world. The temple was not just a place of worship, it was a sanctuary for the knowledge that tied them to the stars, a knowledge that transcended time and space. As we move through the temple's chambers, we begin to uncover fragments of her story. Scrolls rest upon broken altars, their edges curled and fragile, their writings faded but still legible. The priestess's teachings are preserved in the ink, her wisdom recorded in delicate symbols that speak not only of the earthly world but of realms beyond human sight. Her knowledge of the stars was not simply for navigation, but for spiritual alignment, a way to live in harmony with the universe. Each scroll tells a tale of celestial bodies, of their positions in the sky, and of how their movements influence the cycles of life, planting, harvesting, birth and death, all aligned with the stars. It is in these writings that we come to understand the priestess's role. She was not merely a figure of ritual, performing the sacred rites for the people. She was a guide, a voice of the divine, standing between the heavens and the earth, helping her people understand their place in the vastness of the cosmos. She spoke the language of the stars, and her voice was said to carry the weight of eternity. Some believe that when she spoke, the heavens themselves listened, their patterns shifting in response to her words. The temple was a mirror of the stars, and the priestess was the reflection, guiding the people as they navigated their lives in perfect harmony with the celestial order. Yet, as we move through the temple, the silence of the place deepens, and the weight of what is lost presses upon us. The walls, though etched with symbols, no longer hold the vibrancy of the priestess's teachings. The echoes of her voice, once powerful and clear, have faded, leaving only a faint trace, a whisper caught in the wind. Beneath the silence, we begin to understand that her voice was not lost to time by accident. It was hidden, perhaps even intentionally, from those who were not ready to hear it. The wisdom she carried was too sacred, too powerful to be understood by all. It is as though the very stones of the temple are holding their breath, waiting for someone worthy to uncover what was once spoken. The final chamber of the temple is the quietest of all, the air thick with an ancient energy, a presence that feels almost alive. In the center of the room, beneath the arch of the temple's roof, lies the statue of the priestess. Her eyes, though carved from stone, seem to gaze beyond the temple, beyond time itself, toward something only she could see. Her hands, outstretched toward the heavens, are frozen in a gesture of offering, as though she is receiving wisdom from the stars or perhaps giving it back to the universe. Some believe that this was her ultimate purpose, to channel the knowledge of the stars, not only to her people but to the cosmos itself, to keep the balance between the divine and the mortal, between the known and the unknown. As we stand before the priestess's statue, we feel the weight of her silence. Her voice may be lost to the world, but her teachings remain etched in the stone, preserved in the ruins. The question lingers in the air: what did she know that has been lost? The answer may never be fully revealed to us. It is said that some voices, though lost to time, are carried on the wind, echoing through the ages, waiting for the right moment to be heard again. Perhaps the priestess's voice is one of those voices, her wisdom preserved not in the words she spoke, but in the silence she left behind. As we turn to leave the temple, the wind stirs, carrying with it the faintest whisper, as though the priestess is speaking once more. The air is cool and the stars above shine brightly as if they too are listening. The temple, though silent, remains alive with the presence of the lost voice, a voice that may never be fully understood, but that will forever echo in the hearts of those who seek the sacred knowledge of the heavens. Perhaps it was never meant to be found. Perhaps some voices, some knowledge, are meant to remain veiled, preserved in silence, waiting for those who are ready to listen. Some voices only echo when we are ready to listen. The shattered sky of the forgotten realm. In the quiet expanse of an ancient land, where the dust of ages settles on forgotten ruins, there lies a kingdom, its glory now reduced to scattered stones and crumbled walls. Once, this land flourished beneath a sky that seemed to stretch forever, a sky that the people believed held the very key to their existence. Beneath this sky, a civilization rose, their eyes always turned upward, seeking wisdom in the stars, seeking connection with the heavens themselves. It is said that this kingdom was born of the stars, guided by celestial belief, their every move in life guided by the constellations above. Now, however, this once great civilization lies in ruins, scattered and broken, the echoes of their once thriving cities lost to time. The sky, which they had once believed to be their sacred guide, is now a silent witness to their downfall. The wind carries with it the whisper of a question: what caused their downfall? How did a kingdom so attuned to the stars, so aligned with the heavens, fall into such despair and ruin? What secret did they uncover, and what was the cost of their ambition? As we step into the heart of the forgotten realm, we find ourselves standing among the remnants of their cities. The walls are crumbled, the streets empty and silent, but beneath the decay, there is a palpable presence, a sense of something that once was something great and powerful that now lies beneath the weight of time. Some believe that the very foundations of these cities were aligned with the stars themselves, their structures built to mirror the movements of the heavens. Every pillar, every archway, every stone in the ground was part of a grand design. A design that connected the kingdom to the cosmos in ways that we may never fully understand. As we wander through the ruins, the air grows heavy with the weight of the past. Scrolls and relics rest scattered among the debris, their edges worn and frayed, but their presence speaks of a civilization that once held great knowledge. In the quiet ruins, we uncover carvings on the walls, images of celestial bodies, gods of the stars, and sacred symbols meant to reflect the divine order of the universe. The people of this kingdom believed that their fate was intertwined with the stars, that by understanding the heavens they could shape their own destiny. Their temples, still standing in silent reverence, were not only places of worship, but places of knowledge, sacred spaces where the priests and scholars communed with the stars, reading their movements, understanding their messages. Whispers tell us that the kingdom's rulers were not mere kings and queens, but celestial stewards, chosen by the stars themselves. They believed that their connection to the heavens granted them a divine mandate, a right to rule not only the land but the cosmos itself. Their ambition grew, and their reach extended upward, toward the very stars that once guided them. They believed that they could unlock the secrets of the universe, that they could harness the power of the celestial bodies for their own purposes. But with each step they took toward the heavens, they unknowingly distanced themselves from the earth beneath their feet. The deeper we journey into the ruins, the more we begin to understand the tragic consequence of their ambition. It is said that their kingdom's downfall began when they reached too high, when they sought to control what was never meant to be controlled. The stars, once their sacred guides, became their rulers. The kingdom's people began to sacrifice more and more offerings to the gods, more rituals to align themselves with the stars. But the balance between heaven and earth began to shift. The kingdom, once in harmony with the cosmos, now teetered on the edge of destruction. The very thing they revered, the stars, the celestial bodies that had once been their guides, became the instruments of their undoing. Beneath the silence of the ruins, we feel the weight of their ambition, their desire to reach beyond what was meant for them. The sky, once so vast and awe-inspiring, is now a quiet witness to their fall. The constellations, which they had once read like sacred texts, seemed to look down upon them with an unknowable distance, as though they had outgrown their place in the universe. The gods they once worshipped, the stars they once revered, now seem distant, cold, and unmoving. As the sun begins to set, casting long shadows over the ruins, we stand before a broken altar, its stone surface cracked and chipped. Some believe that this altar was the last place where the kingdom's rulers attempted to commune with the heavens. The carvings on its surface are worn and indistinct, but there is one image that stands out, an image of a figure reaching upward toward the stars, hands outstretched, desperate for knowledge, desperate for power. The figure's face is twisted in anguish, as though it understands too late that the very thing it reached for is now slipping away. The temple walls, which once shimmered with celestial wisdom, now stand in silence. Beneath the moon we reflect on the fate of the kingdom, their fall not caused by war or famine, but by their unwavering ambition to conquer the heavens. In their pursuit of divine knowledge, they lost touch with the earth, with the very essence of what it meant to be human. They sought to rule not just the land but the stars, and in doing so, they were consumed by their own desires. The kingdom's downfall was not an accident, but a tragic consequence of their deep connection to the cosmos, a connection that led them to believe they could transcend the limitations of their mortal existence. As we leave the ruins behind, the sky above seems to stretch out endlessly, its vastness reminding us of the fragility of the kingdom's ambition. The stars, though beautiful and awe-inspiring, remain silent, their secrets locked away in the heavens. Perhaps the sky was never meant to be their kingdom. Perhaps it was their downfall all along, a realm too vast, too unknowable for mortals to control. The wind stirs through the ruins and the sand shifts, carrying with it the whispers of the lost kingdom. The story of this civilization, though lost to time, remains in the stars. Their ambition may have led to their downfall, but their legacy lingers in the quiet spaces between the earth and the heavens. Perhaps it was never meant to be found. Perhaps the sky was not for them to conquer, but to look upon in awe, as we do now. Some mysteries, it seems, are not meant to be understood, but to be felt, deep in the heart, beneath the silence, where memory fades into the wind. Some voices only echo when we are ready to listen.